on the ground. It's the number of times you pick yourself up and keep on moving on to meet your goal. Come on, everybody. Come on, everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubles, they be done. I'll tell you, come on, everybody. Come on, everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is our evening success meeting. I don't have a name for it yet, but our evening success meeting. Thank you so much for joining us on Instagram and on Facebook. And we're going to be doing these meetings at 8 p.m. And we're going to be talking about topics from the 12 Universal Laws of Success. You know, so many people have been getting our New You for the New Year home study course. And as they've been getting into the course, they're really finding that they need to go back and really work with some of the thoughts, some of the concepts covered in the 12 Universal Laws of Success. So tonight we're going to talk about the law of thought, because everything begins in thought. A mind shall have whatsoever it thinks in its heart. So this is the law of thought, and we're going to be talking about how to use the law of thought to transform your life in our home study course. And by the way, more information is available on our website, www.herbertharris.com. But as we go through the process of transformation in our home study course, so many people are looking now at the laws and really seeing how the laws are put into action in the course. So the law of thought is the first law of success. Scripturally, from Proverbs, it says, for a man shall have whatsoever he thinks in his heart. I like to make it universal. A person may have whatsoever they think in their heart. And what it's really saying is whenever you have a thought, there are two aspects of the thought. There is the rational aspect, you know. For example, the thought of wealth. Say, I want to be wealthy. Yes. So there's the rational aspect of the thought of wealth. And then there's also the emotional aspect. So it says, a mind shall have whatsoever it thinks in its heart. And so there's a duality between the thought and your feeling. So when think about this now, most people say, hey, I want to be rich. Thank you so much. This evening success meeting. I love it. Thank you. People say, I want to be rich. And they say the word, that's the thought. But then inside, they may not feel worthy. They may be feeling discouraged. You know, those of us who are entrepreneurs, it's very easy to get discouraged after you have failure after failure after failure. But Winston Churchill said that success is really going from failure to failure and not losing your enthusiasm. So when we think about the thought of wealth, if we have a thought of wealth on the rational side and a feeling of indecision, a feeling of incompetence, a feeling of poverty, you know, there are people who say, I want to be rich, but then you know, how much will it cost me to be rich? So the thought and the feeling must be in congruence. When we think about thoughts, there are three primary areas of your thoughts that will impact your life and impact the way that you transform yourself. And I know that those of you who are on YouTube and on Instagram, I know that you're here because you are looking to transform your lives. By the way, a question just came up. The tune that I'm jamming to is a song called The Time to Love Is Here by Dr. H. Moi. And it's available on iTunes, Spotify. The Time to Love Is Here. Very timely right now. So getting back to the thoughts, there are three areas that your thoughts have a profound impact on your progress. Number one, the thoughts you have about yourself. And that's your self-image. Number two, the thoughts you have about other people, and that's your attitude. And number three, the thoughts you have about the world, which is your outlook on life. So when we look at the thoughts you have about yourself. The self-image is critical because your self-image determines what you get out of life. How you see yourself in your own eyes determines what you get out of life. Now, this is critical because it is saying that your self-image is the mental and emotional picture that you hold in your consciousness of who you are. Your self-image is the starting point of your life experiences. So the image you hold of yourself is like a filter through which everything that you see and experience is filtered. So if your self-image is small, if you have a small, limited self-image based on ignorance, based on fear, based on doubt, based on insecurity, based on past disappointments and failures, if that is the foundation for your self-image, then guess what? You're going to attract just those type of negative things into your space, because the law of thought says a mind shall have whatsoever it thinks in its heart. And so if your self-image, if you see yourself from these negative experiences, negative emotions, then you attract negative stuff into your life. Congruent with the self-image is the self-esteem. So just as your thoughts have a rational and emotional part, your self-image has a rational part. Your self-image is the image you see, and your self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. So what you see and how you feel about yourself. So if your self-image is positive, it's based on love and courage and respect and faith, then you attract just those things into your life. The idea is that how you see yourself creates a vibration. The law of magnetism says that we attract what we are. We attract what we send out. And so how we see ourselves creates the vibration that will attract or reject that which we say we want. So if we say we want wealth and we have a feeling of being deserving of that wealth, then we become magnetic and attracted into our life. You attract the people and experiences that are congruent with how you feel about yourself. So with the self-image being so important, being as the starting point for all of your life experiences, we have to say, well, what are some of the things that affect the self-image so we can work on it? 3 things that affect your self-image profoundly. Number 1, of course, the thoughts and emotions, the thoughts and feelings that you have developed, especially in the education stage of life. The first 7 years of your life are profoundly impactful upon your life. It's affected by your environment. And your self-image is affected by your associations. Let's break that down a little bit. When we look at the thoughts and emotions that affect our lives, the challenge is that in the early years, those first 7 years or so of our lives, most of the thoughts and emotions that are given to us by other people, by our parents, by our ministers, by our teachers, by the people who influence our lives at that early stage. So many of us who have experienced negative thinking, critical thinking, criticism, trauma, physical trauma, emotional trauma, all of these things create an indelible imprint upon your consciousness. And so when these things happen in these first 7 years, they can influence the future. So these thoughts and emotions, we can change them. We're going to talk about that in another class. The thought is, though, that the thoughts and emotions that were put there when you were a child, you have to work with them. If they are counterproductive, if we look back at some of our successes and disappointments, many of them can be traced back to traumas we experienced in our childhood. The beauty is that you can fix it. when we look at there's a great proverb and it says, train up a child in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. So that's a two-edged sword. If you train up a child with love, with courage, with confidence, then he will not depart from it. But on the other hand, if the child is trained up in negativity, in fear, in ignorance, in criticism, they will not depart from it unless, and that's the power. When we talk about the second law of success, that you don't have to stay stuck in the errors and shortcomings of your childhood, of your past. You can change it. Our environment can impact us. We may have a positive self-image, but if we're in an environment, a physical environment where we're surrounded by negativity, by people who aren't going anywhere, by just a lack of beauty. I look at some of the new homes that they're building now. You know, people pass by our home and they look at the yard and the flowers and they are like amazed. I was, just yesterday we were sitting on the porch just enjoying the sun, and so many people passed by and say, your flowers are so beautiful. Because right up the street, there are other these newly built homes, these modernistic things. It's all concrete, no flowers, no plants, no trees. And so what does that environment create? You know, there's a study that like rats raised in these structures, almost prison type structures, have some challenges, are more violent, have a negative outlook or aspect. And so I don't know how that happens with people, but it may have a profound impact. We won't go there now, but the idea is that your environment impacts you profoundly. And when you look at your environment, there are three things. You can change the environment. Of all of the opportunities, options, changing the environment is probably the most challenging, because there's so many external experiences around you and external endeavors that you may not be able to change it at that particular time. The second option is to change your self-image. And once again, that's a two-edged sword. Now, if your self-image is saying, man, I can fly, I can do it, uplifting, motivating, then if that's the environment that you're in, buy into it. Birds of a feather flock together. But if the environment is not that way, then you may have to leave it, which is the third option. You may have to leave the environment, because if you can't change it and you refuse to change your self-image, if you stay in that environment, the vibrations will attract negative things into your experience. And finally, your associations. Who you permit on the ship that is your life is critical toward your success. If you permit people who don't love you, who don't respect you, who are critical of you, and you permit them to come into your circle, they create a vibration that can neutralize your positivity. If you surround yourself with people who can't grow with you, everybody can't make the whole trip. There's a real thought that on your success journey, don't be afraid to leave the crowd, because you may have to focus on you and your strengths, and the people around you are not productive and not enhancing what you're doing. You may have to leave them. It's okay, because when you get to the top, trust me, they will own up to you. They will remind everybody how they used to know you when. So this just gives a nice little overview from the Law of Thought, chapter 1 of the 12 Universal Laws of Success. Just recapping, number one, the thought has two aspects, a rational aspect and an emotional aspect. A mind shall have whatsoever it thinks in its heart. So when your feelings and your thoughts are congruent, you get positive results. Number two, that there are things that affect your self-image. Well, let's look back. Number two, that you have areas in which your self-image or your thoughts operate. One, your thoughts about yourself. Two, your thoughts about others, your attitude. And three, your world perspective. And these can all be modified. You can work with them to create the person you need to be. And then finally, the things that affect your self-image. Once again, your thoughts, especially your early thoughts, your environment, and your associations. When we work with the people who are taking our home study course, what they've been understanding is they have the power now to transform their thoughts from the thoughts that have kept them bound up to thoughts that can now help them fly. So tonight, that sort of completes our lesson for tonight. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, we're going to talk about signals of a poor self-image. You know, we don't like to own up to a self-image, but if it's impacting our progress, we need to recognize it. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. So I want to thank everyone for being here today. I want to invite you to go to our website, www.herbertharris.com, and check out the home study course, because this course enhances the information in the book. If you don't have a copy of the 12 Universal Laws of Success, you can also get it on our website, herbertharris.com. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be doing some interviews with people who have taken our message and taken the book and how it's impacted their lives. We're going to be doing some videos, and so we'd love for you to participate. Email me at herbert@herbertharris.com, herbert@herbertharris.com. We'll put you on the list. We'll also send you a free 12 affirmations to live by poster, simply for you to use to help transform yourself so that you can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have whatever you want to have, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is. See you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, for another success evening, another evening success message. Thank you. What you say, baby, from Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. So 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. See you tomorrow night, folks. Thanks for being with us. Remember, go to our website, herbertharris.com, and get your new you for the New Year home study course to transform your life from what it is